So over the last little bit, we've had some time to kind of digest everything, and Phil Spencer has actually come out and made a comment, although that comment probably won't make anybody feel particularly any better about what's going on with everything at Xbox, and it's not a denial or anything like that, so, equally bad. And, just as an Xbox fan, it's so heartbreaking, and people will make fun of that, right, because I say that, but, it is one of those things where the reason why it's so heartbreaking is because Microsoft made it a point to really become friends with their fans, right? They did the fan fest, they do the giveaways, they really interacted with everybody. Everybody felt like they're friends, and I guess that's probably a mistake on our part to think that a corporation ever really gives a crap about you. But, lesson learned, I guess. There's a lot of people that are going to be rightfully so upset about this. But here's what Phil Spencer had to say on Twitter. "We're listening and we hear you. We've been planning a business update event for next week where we look forward to sharing more details with you about our vision for the future of Xbox. Stay tuned." So obviously this is not denying anything, and in fact makes it seem like he is, kind of confirming without confirming that, there is some bad stuff. It's like when your parents had to have that, the talk with you, right? That's what this kind of reminds me of. He's putting us down gently or whatever. Now, a lot of people have asked me what this means for me, what it means for this channel. They assume, oh man, well, you're going to go back and be a PlayStation guy now, right? Listen, I've had a PlayStation 5 since launch. I have a PSVR 2. I have a lot of PlayStation games. But what some people might not realize is that I have like almost 1,400 games installed on my Xbox Series X. And so while people think that it's console warring or that, people are being childish or whatever by not wanting others to play their game, the truth of the matter is what happens, Microsoft is obviously going to, in my opinion, announce that they're going to put all their games on PlayStation and Nintendo. Most likely this is how this is going to work. Xbox fans will have them on Game Pass, and that'll be the thing that we get sort of to try to keep us on Xbox, and Xbox fans will have probably exclusivity window of 6 to 12 months, and they're hoping that that's going to keep people kind of on the path of Xbox, right? The problem with that is if you're selling out what you've said specifically before, which, by the way, speaking of that, Phil Spencer literally said before that if you're an Xbox customer, the thing I want you to know is that this is about buying ZeniMax back in 2021, is about delivering great exclusive games for you that ship on platforms where Game Pass exists, and that's our goal. That's why we're doing this. So the whole reason they bought ZeniMax was to get exclusives for Xbox fans. So now they're likely going to go back on that and put all these games on PlayStation, and the whole thing that we'll get is, hey, we at least get it on Game Pass first or whatever. But the really kind of kick to the pants to this whole situation is it looks like the PlayStation 5 Pro is a thing, and obviously Microsoft would probably support it. There's already rumors that they've got PlayStation dev kits and things like that. So could you imagine like Starfield running 60 frames on a PS5 Pro? These Xbox games are going to run better on a PlayStation 5 Pro than they do on an Xbox. As someone who has so many games, and I'll go over this real quick with you guys. So I have over 1,000 Xbox 360 physical games. I have 250 Xbox One / Xbox Series X games physical, and I have 1,360 some games installed digitally on my Xbox Series X. So the physical games are going to be pointless. I realize not all of them were backwards compatible to begin with, but their next consoles they're cutting out physical, so they probably won't come out with a console with a physical drive. So anything that I have that would be backwards compatible physically won't be, because they won't have a disk drive. Next thing is, if they're so quick to switch and sell out the way that they have, and it looks like with this, how quick before they just totally shut off their Xbox altogether, and that's I think a big problem that a lot of people are dealing with right now. And even Jez Gordon said this on Twitter. He said it's easy for people to mock when they don't have digitally locked licenses in Xbox hardware. If the ecosystem dies, so does all the content and save files. So it's unfair for people to really kind of overlook this. So yeah, I would literally lose all my save files, I would lose everything. So, all the games, all this stuff would be worthless at that point. So what's happening is it's making people really not want to go out and buy new games, because why would you? And realistically, there's not really much reason to stick around. I'm sure that they're going to come out and say, oh, we're going to continue to support hardware. We're going to consider to do this. We're going to continue to do that. But, this is the same Xbox that admitted, right, that honestly, and this is funny to me, Xbox came out and admitted this. Phil Spencer said every time they ship a game on PlayStation, Sony captures 30% of the revenue that we do on their platform, and then use that money among other revenue to do things to try to reduce Xbox's survival in the market. So Microsoft is effectively helping Sony to get extra exclusives and keep them away from us. The third-party developers that Xbox will inevitably lose, because if Xbox is really just going after Game Pass people, then that's kind of a shame. Also, I've had this weird thing where I've had this discourse with people on Twitter where they think that Microsoft is trying to go all cloud and things like that. To kind of enlighten you guys on the cloud thing. So when they did their court session with the FTC, and they were asked about cloud and what their decreased investment in cloud was the budget investment of xCloud in 2023, and it's less than $10 million for the entire year. That's nothing. They've decreased the budget. He says, Phil Spencer said, there's people in the organization that still work on supporting our customers. We have cut almost all feature work and investment in new server infrastructure out. New cloud infrastructure, I don't have a specific number in my head, but I would, as the head of the business, I would say our investment in specific xCloud is probably in the single-digit millions. So in the fiscal year 2023, outside of the cost of serving existing players that are there, it's next to nothing. So basically, they also gave their cloud rights away completely to Ubisoft in the UK. So this isn't a cloud play, right? Whatever they're doing is not a cloud play. So it's a very strange sort of situation for all involved. And apparently this was a situation where, according to Forbes anyway, it seems to have leaked out that they're going to be talking about this stuff next week because there's some sort of internal strife within Xbox about the plan, and there are cases for and against it. The main idea is that Xbox has lost the console war for 2 generations now, and they're going to just stop pretending otherwise. They have repeatedly said their futures and services and bringing Xbox games to as many people as possible. On the player side, Xbox owners will get their day one Game Pass launches, and PlayStation players now get the same games eventually. So to them, they think of it as a win-win. I don't really look at it as a win-win when Xbox fans are going to end up with like the worst versions of the games. Sort of all the kinks are going to be put out of the game. Sony's going to get all Xbox games and all PlayStation games on one platform. Who cares if you have to wait a little bit? Literally, who cares? Like people ask me, well, what are you going to do? Well, I'm hesitant to buy any games on Xbox right now as it is because of all this stuff going on behind the scenes, and you don't really know kind of what's going on. So to be quite clear, this whole thing where they brought everybody together, I don't see how anybody could go back to that. I think there's going to be a lot of change in like the landscape of like the YouTube and all the stuff, that the way that people cover it. It doesn't mean you can't cover or be pro Xbox. I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of people, and I've seen it already, where people are like, I'm with Xbox until the wheels fall off or whatever. I get it, because I'm going to still probably use my Xbox the rest of this generation too. You know what I mean? But obviously when you go into thinking about maybe a next generation situation, I don't know yet for sure, so I'm not like flip-flopping or something like that. But if you can play both games on a PlayStation and you can only play Xbox games on an Xbox, then it makes sense to get a PlayStation, but that's not like set in stone or anything. I might not even get anything because I've been totally disillusioned by this entire situation and what's going on. Microsoft did this whole us against the world thing, and it just all feels like we've been lied to repeatedly, and I don't think that they can really ever come back from this, to be quite frank about it. So I don't really see that happening. Now, at the end of the day, they're gonna use business speak, I'm sure. This is what we're gonna do, and we've always said we want to be on as many screens as possible, and the new vision will help us keep Xbox, and we'll keep doing hardware and things like that. And people keep bringing up the Steam Deck to me, and they keep mentioning Steam Deck. Well, they see the Steam Deck is so successful, and it has PlayStation and Xbox games on it, and I'm like looking at the sales number of the Steam Deck, and it's like 3 million, that's it. Okay, that's not successful. Okay, they're like, oh, then the ROG Ally, and I'm like, okay, I'm looking at the sales numbers of that, 500,000 units. Okay, that's not a success. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, they're probably going to help sell a lot of PlayStations with this. It's disappointing. It's heartbreaking. It is all those things. But I'm very curious to hear what you guys have to say about this. Let me know. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for rocking out with me. Like the video, if you wouldn't mind. Have a good day. Crap Gamer out.